Welcome to the Conversation Colons podcast. I'm your host, Damian, my co-host, Jared.
How's it going, guys?
It's been a little bit. Just like to go ahead and
Little.
say next week, normal podcast. We'll catch up on all the Xbox stuff that just went down. Before we get into like our main topic, which we've talked about on the podcast for a few weeks of what we were doing, I have some things to show that I bought recently because I haven't done an
Yeah?
update in a while. Uh, I drank a lot of wine yesterday, so deal with me.
Oh,
Still feeling,
little,
still feeling.
yeah. Yeah, that wine lasts.
It it does. So I got 300 on 4K.
Ooh.
Yeah. I watched this one. Not terrible. I don't really care for this movie as much as I used to. It's a pretty good 4K. And when I was at Best Buy, I saw this. It's the Avatar Blu-ray Collector Edition. So it's like this whole like fucking booklet and shit of like artwork and
Ooh.
I guess I can show it like all that. And it has all the discs in it and stuff. So new movie's coming out. I was like, might as well probably grab this and rewatch it at some point. And they don't have a 4K of it yet, so Blu-ray is the best thing you can get. So actually, really,
I'm sure with the next one coming out, they'll do a 4K for it.
Yeah, the 4K is in the works. It's got really cool like artwork on the back too. Like, so I'm actually gonna watch this. I was telling Chad, I need to catch up on all the movies I bought that I haven't watched. I think over these next few days, like I'm just gonna grind. I don't think I showed this Cabin in the Woods on 4K. And it's got this really cool steelbook as you lift it up. It reveals more.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And then the back is like all the little monsters and stuff.
That's all.
I did watch this one. This movie's fucking hilarious. I forgot how good it was. Chris Hemsworth. So, a movie I haven't seen.
Is his brother in that one?
No, it's Chris. It's Chris in that one.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, this was 2011, I think. So he just became Thor. He was bulking up to become Thor. So yeah. I grabbed The Green Knight on 4K. I haven't seen this movie yet. I've heard great things. It's an A24 film. It's kind of in the style of like The Northman. So it's like an epic tale of King Arthur's, I think, cousin. So and like from what I've heard, the movie looks beautiful. So I couldn't pass it up. I got it for like $10. See, I went to Best Buy, and the issue with going to Best Buy, if I'm not looking for something, I just buy a ton of shit. So like I went in there to just grab 2 movies that you're about to see, and then I was like, well, let me just look at what else they got, and I walked out with $100 in movies. So,
damn.
This one actually I was really excited for. It's a great 4K, and it's probably the best looking steelbook I own. I got the Lawrence of Arabia steelbook, and it's like fucking super awesome quality, dude. It looks amazing. I've been waiting for this to come out for so long. It's chef's kiss. And then the last one I got is the Northman on 4K. So excited to watch this again. It was a beautiful movie in the theaters. I'm sure it'll look better here at home. And then one last thing. It's not movie related, but I don't remember what I did to earn this from Chad. I don't remember why he wanted to give this to me so bad, but I did get the Forza Horizon 5 controller yesterday from him, and it looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I'm not gonna ever use this controller. It's gonna go in the display shelf. So,
by the way, did I fucking tell you? I went up to GameStop for a minute. Just I wasn't like explicitly going there, but I was running some errands, and I was like, you know what? I'm here. Like I'm parked far away from the store, and the GameStop's right near where I was parking. So fuck it, let's go in real quick. You remember that Halo mouse pad that they were trying to get me to get?
Yeah, it was like $80, wasn't it?
Yeah, they have them for like $40 now, or maybe it was 50. It was like $49.99. At the GameStop I went in, They also had the Halo mouse, the Master Chief mouse, and there was for a second, I got really excited. They had the controller, but it was just a little art there, like, of where it was. I guess they had just gotten rid of the last one or sold the last one. I If they had it there, I was about to buy it because I don't know if I've shown you this. My, my Elite controller is seeing better days. So if you take a look at this, all that black shit, that's electrical tape holding everything together. This poor thing falling apart, and also, you're not gonna be able to see it on obviously here, but this bumper is not activating properly.
I get yeah. So I mean, my Wii controller is kind of the same thing. So on the back, the grips are gone right
Yep.
here. Um, Everything else works, but I'm not using that controller anymore. I guess I could show it off. My new controller, I got a Scuff controller.
And
Finally. So it's honestly been great so far. So
yeah, I'm gonna look. I might check out Scuff maybe after the podcast tonight. I need to look into a controller. I was
yeah,
up
because
there and they
this
had
shit is
the series.
awful. This
I
shit is
know.
awful. I cannot
I mean,
believe.
it feels great on the controller, but after it falls off, it sucks. I 200 It was $180 before tax to get the Series 2 Elite controller. And like I want to get a new controller because how bad this one's falling apart, but I didn't want to spend $180 on the Series 2. I'd
Yeah,
rather look
especially
at
with like
stuff
the
and see if I can
LB
get it cheaper.
buttons like being an issue.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I guess we'll go into our topic. So,
Yes.
past few weeks we've been talking about ranking our favorite movies. So we went ahead and did mine first. So we did top 7. We're not ranking Interstellar for this because Jared has Interstellar in his top movies. So we're gonna save that for his, but I'll let you know where it feels in mine or ranks in mine. So
Yeah.
the movies we ranked, we had Nocturnal Animals, Sicario, Nightcrawler, Arrival, Heat, and Blade Runner 2049. So 6 movies. Um, so I'll show it up on the screen when we go through, but we kind of ranked them how we did the Drake albums. So if it has a color, that's kind of our score for that category. So you have green being 10, blue being 8, yellow being good, orange being meh, bad, or meh, and then bad being red. And then we have our score out of 10 and our score out of 60. So we add up all the points and we get those. So, Jared, why don't you start us off?
Yes.
What is your number 6 of my favorite movies?
Number 6, the lowest rated one here out of these 6 is Nocturnal Animals.
Okay.
So this one, do you want me to get the overall rating first before we go into each separate little topic here?
No, let's see what you said first, or say first.
Okay. So for the story, I rated this as good.
Okay.
Um, and I am going to be rereading exactly what I wrote, and I'll censor myself if I put something I shouldn't have because it's been a minute since we've watched these movies. I do want to make sure I'm reiterating what I felt at the time. So yeah, Yellow, good. I respect the story for what it is, and I understand that both the real world and the story are needed for this movie to make sense. But I found that everything was not. I found everything that was not the story to be boring. But everything Edward put in his story, I enjoyed. So I believe the main character's name was Edward. And the way I'm putting this, the is it Amy Adams?
Yes.
Yes, Amy Adams, her character is like living in the we're gonna say quote unquote real world, and her ex whatever husband gives her a book to read, and she reads it, and the story of the the book that part I love.
Yeah, it's really
Everything
good.
outside of it with Amy Adams, I don't care for. That not that she's bad. It's just I don't want to see that. I want to see what's happening in the book. I want to see the stuff that's
Yeah.
happening at night, the investigation, all that. That's what I enjoy, and that's why I listed this as good. Is because half of the movie I wanted to see, the other half I didn't care to see.
Great ending though.
I can't deny that it was a good ending.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down to
Okay.
score.
Yeah.
So this one I did as meh. That was orange. The score is great for this movie. I feel like it was well done and it was appropriate. However, I just personally didn't care for it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit here and bash it professionally. It's just I didn't like it. That's why it's
Okay.
low. I'm gonna go to tone next. For this one, I actually made the tone green. Amazing.
Okay.
The tone is meant to be portrayed in the tone that is meant to be portrayed in this movie is intense slash uneasy. That's how I kind of supported it. While I may not be a huge fan of this movie, I can't deny that the way it made me feel was it was done well.
Very
They
like
brought those
queasy feeling, like unnerving,
yeah,
like yeah,
it brought those feelings to me with no struggle. It wasn't like, what's it? Oh, okay, I kinda get it. Oh, there's the tone." No,
yeah.
this was immediate, very upfront, like, in your face, and I felt it. That's why I gave this the 10. Um, and I put some notes in, I'll have to get rid of it for when you throw it up, but there was a little note I put under it. This is I ranked this a 10 compared to a couple of other movies that we watched before this. The tones were not ranked the same, and I made a note of that because I felt this movie specifically did such a good job with portraying its tone.
Yeah.
That's why it is the way it is.
Mhm.
I'm gonna move on to visuals here. This was Yellow. This was good. Nothing here that really impressed me, but also nothing to disgust me. All the visuals here I felt were average. The only note that I'm going to make is I like the transition scenes between the story and reality. I thought that those were good. Uh, right down the middle for me though. 6. So the casting, I made Green. That's amazing. 10 out of 10 there. I always love to see Jake Gyllenhaal. Michael Shannon is also amazing. I liked him a lot. And I mean Amy Adams also.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with her there. The gentleman, I don't remember his name.
The
Um
main antagonist,
yes,
Taylor
him.
Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to say, after we watched Nocturnal Animals, I like started realizing who he was in other movies. And I like him.
Oh, he's a
If
great
c-
actor.
correct me if I'm wrong, he's in Tenet.
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Maybe I'm confusing him with another person, but he was in a movie, another movie that I watched recently, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's him." And you're right, it wasn't Tenet. I don't remember what it was, but he was good
Yeah,
in it.
he's a real good actor.
So fun factor I'm gonna put here is a orange. This is meh for this movie. I wouldn't recommend this movie to anyone, and I don't see myself watching this more than once. That's why I'm gonna give this such a low rating here. The only reason I would ever watch this movie again is to see some of the subtle details I missed the first time, and that was because there was something you pointed out to me that I forget what it was, but you said, "Oh, did you notice this?" I'm like, "No," but that's because first time through, how would I notice that, or what are the chances? Overall, the fun of the movie is for people who find the enjoyment of the artistic side of films, and that's just not something I'm super immersed into. Not that's bad, and I find myself moving towards that a lot more, especially with how in depth you see, like, look at all these movies and how much we've been going into them, especially with these rankings and everything we've done here at the podcast. I do like appreciate a lot more, but not nearly to the level that someone like you or someone else would. So that's why I give this such a low rating there.
Okay.
Overall, the score out of 60 was a 40, which I was surprised. That's higher than I expected it to be. And that gives it a 6.66 out of 10.
Okay.
And this obviously the lowest one. So
All
that says a
right.
lot. Already doing better than Drake. So
Yeah. So it's kind of weird, like ranking my own favorite movies. Like, so my
oh,
score, like, it's just like compared to the other movies in my favorite movie list. Like, I love this movie I'm about to say, which my least favorite of my favorite movies is Nocturnal Animals as well. Um, so story, I love the connection between what happened between Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams in real life, and how that connects to the book he wrote. It's like basically his story is talking about how she took away, like, she's the main villain in the book, right? She took away his daughter, his relationship, ruined his life. He made the correlation of, because she said, "Oh, you won't stand, or you can't stand up for yourself, like you're a pushover." He shows that in the book, right? And I love how his character in the book, or the scenes when you're watching it, you see his old self dying literally when he at the end of the movie, and he begins anew. He's standing up for himself. He's a changed man because of what happened. I love that connection, how her actions cause the actions in the book, and you can clearly see and tie up all the events together. Like, the main thing that I pointed out to you was when they broke up, it was in front of the car that Aaron Taylor Johnson was driving. So it's like a direct, like, there you go. So I love little shit like that when movies have it. I gave the story a blue, so a great. I just feel like there is a lot of meaningless shots in this movie that drag. So that's why I wouldn't put it as an amazing story, because there is a lot of points with Amy Adams' side where I also just don't tend to care, and I don't think it makes sense for the script. So moving on, score. The score is really subtle in approach and doesn't make an impact on the movie as I would have liked. I think, like, especially with Tom Ford, this is being like his first directorial debut. Ugh. I just don't think he had a good soundtrack to put on, and I don't really think it added anything. So I gave this a yellow, a good. I feel like you could have put any other score and it would have had either the same effect or a better effect. Any movie. Like, that's just how I feel, right? Tone, I put as a blue. The tone's obviously offsetting. Like, if you've never seen this movie, it's really weird, especially the first like 10 minutes. It's a weird movie. I think the tone difference between Amy Adams' side and the book is the reason why I put it as blue, because I prefer the tone of the stuff happening with Jake Gyllenhaal so much more. I prefer so much more over Amy Adams and all the shit she was in. She's vital to the story, but a lot of her scenes and the tone that they were setting with her, I just didn't care for. Visuals, I gave a good, so a 6. Movie's well shot. I just don't care for the high art scenes. Like, this movie's very much a high art movie, which, like, I get because it's Tom Ford, but there's just stupid shit in the movie that I just don't get. Like, naked women dancing, like old naked women dancing, and it being shown off as like this extravagant art piece, and I just don't care for that. I don't care for that glitzy glamour art world, so I just don't like those visual shots, and they don't resonate with me. I like the more grounded, gritty feel of Jake Gyllenhaal's side of the movie. Casting, I also gave as a green. Everyone does amazing here. Even though Amy Adams, I don't like portions of her part of the movie, I think she does a phenomenal job in what was asked of her. Jake Gyllenhaal is, I mean, one of the best actors alive. So obviously he's going to bring to the table his best performance. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think, gives the best performance of the movie as the antagonist. Yeah. He is just so scary. He's so threatening. It's so good. So good. Fun factor. So, yeah, I agree. This movie is not something I would recommend to everyone to watch. I gave it a good because I feel like there is a lot of people out there who would like this for like the thriller aspect of it. But there's a lot of harsh scenes with themes and tones that I just don't think the average person would want to watch, right? Like, especially with, you know, it dealing with things about rape. Obviously, like, Jake Gyllenhaal finds his wife and daughter killed. Like, it's pretty harsh for what it is. So my total score was 44 out of 60. So, Jared, we were actually pretty close on that one.
That's surprising.
Yeah, and so that gives the total rating out of 10 a 7.3 out of 10 for Nocturnal Animals. So, what is your number 5?
Before we move to number 5, real quick, I just want to say, because I looked it up because we're talking about Aaron Taylor Johnson, and it was going to bug me if I didn't look. The thing I just saw him in was the movie Bullet Train that's coming out.
Oh, Brad Pitt, yeah.
With Brad Pitt, he's in that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, he is in Tenet. He is the fucking captain guy. Remember at the end of the movie when the three of them are splitting up?
Oh, yeah. That's right. That he is. Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, is he not in it? No, that he is in it, and that's why I wanted to say he's, you know. Also, Pietro Maximoff in fucking Age of Ultron. Yeah. Never realized how fucking cool he is when the movie's in. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Great actor.
Kind of touching on my casting again, because I didn't mention him. I didn't actually write his name in there. I just remembered, and I definitely should have said something. So that put aside, we're going on to number 5 here. So my 5th on your favorite movies is going to be Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. So this one, I know. I'm sorry. So you're gonna be a little bit happy about the ranking. I hope. For the story, I gave this a great. This was Blue. I did not love the story, but I do not by any means think that it is bad. And that was something as after like Nocturnal Animals, the more we watch these movies, I really, really, really had to go into and think about um like just because I don't like the movie, I can't give these lower ratings. Like this is I have to see for what it is. If it's not my personal preference, I still have to recognize for all it is, how good or bad it is in that way. So that's why this is Blue. And
Yeah.
I can't deny how well the story was written and performed. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone in it did good. I think that the director Dan Gilroy did a very good job, and I liked it. So moving on, score also going to be great. That's Blue.
Yeah.
There were a few times throughout the movie where I didn't think the music fit, but I do believe it sounded good. There were other times where I felt like the music, where there was no music. Wait, hold on. How did I write that? Times I felt there were other times where it felt like there was no music at all,
Yeah.
but it felt like it fit. I don't like the way I
Yeah.
wrote that. I do
I would
apologize.
say the
I mean, I
movie
know what I
uses
mean, but
silence to convey the tone a lot.
yes,
Like
yes,
there's a lot of scenes in the movie where Jake Gyllenhaal is like being pretty serious about certain things, and there's no score in the background to like
literally none. Yeah.
make you feel uneasy. So yeah, I agree.
So yeah, just I don't know the way I wrote that, and it was confusing me. But I immediately after that I put I felt like if they would have added music to those scenes, it would have ruined it. So I did like the score for that reason. Moving on, tone also Blue, also great. Um, all I can say to describe the tone for this movie is it gave a constant yet thrilling feeling of anxiety.
Yeah, when we watched
I
this movie, you were like, you can't do this. Like you can't keep doing
Yeah,
this.
there were a couple times I'm like, I want to turn this off. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one, it's impossible to deny that it was absolutely making me anxious. Like I'm not an anxious person. I don't get anxiety. I don't have like panic attacks, anxiety attack. That's not me. So something has to be really going wrong or has to be doing a really sorry, doing a really good job going right to make me feel that way. And this was doing a very good job of doing what it's supposed to do, and that was make me feel uncomfortable as fuck. Um, and I even put after that I wanted to turn the movie off because how uneasy I felt. Yet I didn't want to because I needed to know what happened next. And
Right.
that's exactly it. I kept saying I don't want to watch this anymore, but at the same time, it's like I really did. I want to know what's going on, and I'm glad I did. It ended up being a very good movie. Moving to visuals, this one was yellow. This is good. The way the movie was filmed with the transitions between our perspective and that of the character's camera, uh, was like I like that. That was done nicely. Otherwise, literally nothing for me to write about. I couldn't couldn't say anything good or bad otherwise, but I did enjoy that. Casting. Next thing up here, that's gonna be a green. That's amazing. 10 out of 10 here for casting. Obviously, Jake Gyllenhaal is phenomenal. There was a point in time where I'm pretty sure I told you didn't really care if Jake Gyllenhaal, didn't really know him, and you quoted Nightcrawler specifically, and every time you said that, I was like, "What kind of Nightcrawler? What kind of superhero movie is this? Is he a creature who crawls through the night?" No, it's something much different, and
Yeah.
I'm glad we saw this finally, so I could put the cap on and say, "All right, yeah, you're right. Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty awesome."
Top 5 actor
Um,
to this day.
he's
Like,
good. Uh, Rene Russo and I don't want to say his name wrong. Riz Ahmed.
yeah.
Okay, make sure I say that right. Uh, Supporting cast, but they played their parts fantastically. I
Yeah.
loved them a lot. Rene Russo at the end of by the end of the movie had me going, "Damn, like she just as crazy as Jake Gyllenhaal
Mhm.
is." And Riz Ahmed, I thought he did great. I mean,
Very
for
sad
someone who
character,
came in,
right? Like,
oh, absolutely. Well, I thought the way he was brought in, I thought he was a 20-minute character. I thought it was all he's gonna
right.
have. No, he was so much bigger, which was awesome. Um, I also feel like I haven't seen Bill Paxton in a while in any movies, and that was nice
Yeah.
to see him.
Yeah. Been a
And
while.
after that movie, I looked up, and the reason I haven't seen Bill Paxton in any movies is because he's fucking dead, and I didn't know that.
Right.
I had no idea. So
I think
rest in
like
peace.
even before Nightcrawler, he didn't do anything for a while.
He
So
had no like well, he was the last thing he was in that I could think off the top of my head was some like like spaceship, like he was an astronaut. The only other one I can think of, and he was in Thunderbirds, which was pretty good.
That is true. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so next we got fun factor. This one, unfortunately, is going to be orange. That is a meh. Uh, I could see myself recommending this movie to other people. I think it has the pull, and I think people would like it. However, the uneasy feeling, the blood and the gore, and the overall darker, crazy side makes me think that most people wouldn't give this movie the time of day.
Yeah.
But that's most people, because there are other people who I think I could recommend this movie to for those reasons that I just said. My father is a good example. He loves blood and gore. He loves like the uneasy feeling. I think he would love this movie. Most other people, I feel like they'd be like, "Ooh, no, I don't want to see this." So, overall, score out of 60 is a 44. So that gives it a 7.33 out of 10. So pretty sure that's what you ranked Nocturnal Animals.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Uh,
goes up from here.
yeah. I'm pretty like proud of my movie selections because I feel like, and I was telling you as we were watching all the movies, like every movie is different in so many ways and gives like such a different vibe from each one. So I feel like we got to expand your horizons. But with
For
Jake
sure.
Gyllenhaal, like I have been talking for so long that this man needs the respect of top 5 actor performing today. I mean, he's probably top 3, and
Yeah.
he's definitely top 15 all time. Like we're talking Broke Dick Mountain, he was amazing. Prisoners, he was amazing. Oh, he did that movie with Tobey Maguire that I'm forgetting about. Or their brothers. Forget what it's called. He did that
Is it
amazingly.
called Brothers?
It might be called Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
That movie's fantastic if you've never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know Tobey Maguire loses his shit in the
Oh
middle of
yeah,
it or
it's
something.
so sad. Nightcrawler, Nocturnal Animals, like the dude just keeps giving these all-time performances. So
Spider-Man?
I don't care. I mean, he was great in that movie, but like that
Yeah,
movie wasn't the best.
just the
Yeah. Um. All right. Well, I mean, not bad ranking. I agree with mostly what you said.
yeah,
Uh.
no.
So my number 5 is Sicario. So we go from Nightcrawler at a 7.3. This one jumps up pretty far. So for story, I gave it an amazing 10 out of 10. It's a small scale, well-paced, action-packed story. Very big focus on building anticipation with an ending that will leave you speechless. Obviously, spoiler alerts for this. I mean, I think Benicio del Toro is phenomenal in this. I love his character so much. I gave this an amazing. So I gave it an amazing because I think everything fits together. The one downside to this film, like story wise, is Emily Blunt's character, which I touch upon in a different category. So for story, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, but I knock it down in another category a little bit on. But the movie's fantastic. In the ending, I mean, the dude kills a whole family, and it's so badass. It's so badass. And Josh Brolin's phenomenal in it. The action scenes are amazing. It's very tight. It's always building anticipation. And it's got John Bernthal in it. And if it has him in it, you know it's good. So,
Fuck yeah.
score, I gave it a yellow. So there's not really a score to talk about. There is a use of silence a lot, especially in the night ops scenes and when he's storming the final house or raiding the final house with the family. And the only thing that's worth of note is when they're entering Mexico and they're going to the main city, like the use of the impactful drums as they're driving, like that was used very well to build the anticipation for that. And because I think we were watching him, like, dude, don't you feel like you're really antsy right now? And Jared's like, yeah, like this is fucking nuts. So, and nothing goes on, but it's just the use and the scenes that are shown of people being hanged and fucking gutted. Like, it's just the drums and all that. That scene right there, I think, gives it a 6. Otherwise, there's not really a score to talk about. And you'll see with my movies coming up, like I'm very much into the score having to be good. So tone, I also gave it a green. Anxiety driven with a constant feeling of not knowing what is going to happen next. Masterclass in suspense and the dangers presented. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where nothing is happening, but it is setting up the next scene perfectly and building your anticipation. I think the scene that sets this up very well is where they're on the highway and they all come to
Mm.
the stop, and they're kind of looking around at each car, and they don't know where they are, and you kind of see the bad guys start like to get ready, and it's just all you're seeing is all of their faces reacting, and it builds for quite a long time, and then the action starts, and it happens a lot. So really love that. Visuals, I also gave a green. Dark scenes are filmed very beautifully. The final altercation between the main bad guy and Benicio del Toro's character at the house is, I think, an iconic and probably the best part of the movie. I think that whole final sequence is masterclass. It's phenomenal, and I think the best part of the movie easily. Uh, Especially with what you find out happened to Benicio's character, like with his family dying, and the fact that he was on this huge retribution and he finally got it. And I think when we were watching, I'm like, I'm just gonna let you know you're not ready for what's gonna happen. And then like he's sitting there and he just kills everyone right there and leaves the one guy, and you're like, holy shit, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. Casting, I put as a blue. Benicio del Toro is amazing in this role and is a perfect fit. Brolin is equally as charismatic as him and is like more of the stern character of this film. He's kind of an asshole, but he's really fucking funny, which is just weird because Josh Brolin, I feel like, is that in real life. I feel like he's an
Yeah.
asshole in real life, but it's just fucking hilarious. I just don't really care for Emily Blunt in this movie. So I gave casting a blue. I just don't think she lived up to the other performances of this film, especially with Del Toro being so good. And whenever she was on scene, it just felt as a lower part of the movie. So that's why I gave it a blue. So that's where I kind of knocked her character down. Fun factor, I gave this a blue. I think overall it's a very fun movie. It may be hard for some to watch due to the violence, but I mean, I live in Arizona. The movie starts in Arizona. A lot of the conflict happening is not near me because I live in a nice area, but like Southern Arizona, that's what's happening. There's a lot of downtime in this movie, which I also like, and the action scenes are stellar. But it's not a movie like if you haven't seen this movie and you're going into it, it's not a movie that is all about action. It is all about the downtime. It's more thought provoking, analytical. So, yeah. So my overall score out of 60 was 52 out of 60, which gave it an 8.6 out of 10.
Damn.
So that is my number 5. Jared, what is your number 4?
My number 4. Wait, 4. Is going to be Arrival. So for Arrival,
My heart.
I know. I'm sorry. If it makes you feel any better, this movie was. I expect this movie to be my least favorite, and
Yeah.
it was not. It
Okay.
was much better. So story. I gave a green 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So the way I wrote this is to say it how I wrote it. I cannot put into words the way this movie made me feel. It is portrayed one way, but ends completely differently in another. A roller coaster is the best that I can say about this movie, the story. Um, yeah, the beginning of the movie, I thought I don't even know what I thought, but the beginning of the movie, I was like, okay, like it's like an alien thing. Oh, okay. Like 'cause, I mean, it's called Arrival. You know something's coming.
Right.
I don't know what I thought when I first got into it, but how it ended, like, isn't anywhere near what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
It happened in such a way that I mean, I don't know. Like I said, can't put it into words. I put it perfectly, and I'm trying to keep talking like I have anything else to say. I cannot put into words, but I liked it. 10 out of 10. Score is a blue. That's great. The score is great. So much so that I would say it rivals Interstellar in terms of score. That's saying
It's
something because
it sneaks up on you.
yeah, like it really does.
Yeah,
That being
like
said, I use that as a bait. Like Interstellar has the best score I have ever heard in a film so far. So that's why I say it like that. The only fault I have is hearing the alien, and I put communication, quote unquote, and being unsure of it. If it's meant to be music or for like music for the watcher, or if the characters heard it too, or just Amy Adams, because that's a thing that plays in. There were a couple points kind of early in the movie before all the main story happens and before we realize like they're communicating all that, where I'm hearing things and I don't know if it's like just loud like bang, like they do with music like for movies, or if it's the aliens talking, or if just she's hearing it because like I think she was on like the only person on the screen when it was happening. So that's the only fault I give it. That's why I made it a blue. The tone also blue, also great. Uh, suspense is present in most of the film. Some scenes very intense and others not so much. Goosebumps are provided in a few key scenes as well. The only knock to the suspense is that I am not always a fan of it. The anxious feeling that comes with it, so that's why I'm going to give it a blue. Visuals, move right on to visuals. That's also blue. That is going to be great. Nothing that blew me away. No major or noticeable faults or inconsistencies. I did love the atmosphere. After like the first 20 minutes, that's why I gave it such a high ranking there. Casting, also blue, also great. I love the main cast. I fucking love Jeremy Renner. He is
Yeah,
so good. Like, even though he isn't in the best movies, I just like him. He's
he's
just neat.
daddy. He's daddy.
He is so fucking cool. Supporting cast could have been a little stronger. Um, I put like the captain, for example, and I don't remember what that means.
So that's Forrest Whitaker's character.
That's interesting. I like Forrest Whitaker. Is there not another person who was a captain?
I mean, there was the like white guy.
Is he the one that was like the one who lost his phone and she used his
Yeah.
phone to call?
Hmm.
I think that's what I mean.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, I think that's what I meant by supporting cast. Other than that, I mean, Amy Adams is cool. I didn't never really cared until we watched the movies on your fucking list. I never really cared for Amy Adams. Now I
Yeah,
kind of do after seeing these.
he's great.
But Jeremy Renner made that. That's why that was blue. Moving on, fun factor. That's also blue. That is also great. This movie leaves little to be desired. On a first watch, I can see it being hard for some people, but anytime after the first, you would be looking for key elements to get you prepared for the ending, adding to the fun in mind. To
Yeah.
be high rewatchability. So all in all, my score out of 60. Sorry, that wasn't suspense. I had to burp and I didn't want to do it in the
Mhm.
mic. Score out of 60 was a 50. Rating is a 8.33 out of 10. I could just say 3, but I put the extra number in because I didn't know if they're going to be close. So that's 8.3 out of 10. Uh, Surprisingly high for fourth. I just want to say I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
my numbers to be this high. Oh, I have to say, my next movie, number 3, was this movie was originally ranked the same as the next one, but I had to move one up or one down, and I
Right.
chose to bump Arrivals down just a smidge because of how much I like the next movie. So, but we will go
That's
for yours first
that's
here.
how my number 2 and 3 were. Like they were really close, so I had to like go back through and it's like, okay, I have to dock one. Like which one am I
Yeah.
docking? So,
Yep.
um my number 4 is Nightcrawler. Um so for story, I gave it a blue. Uh Obviously this movie's very heart-wrenching once you start getting towards the end with Riz Ahmed's character and what happens to him, like getting set up to die. Uh he was like a very big emotional piece of that movie because he was normal, just reacting to everything, and he was getting abused by Jake Gyllenhaal in that movie verbally. Thrilling action. The whole final car chase scene is amazing. What I love about this film is that the characters, like, they all feel real. Like, even though Jake Gyllenhaal is fucking nuts in this movie, I could see that being a real person, which is scary, but I could see it being a real person. Along with the city feels alive. It feels like its own character, which I love. Um, I do feel like that the middle portion of the movie, especially when the montage starts happening, they kind of skip forward a lot. I just feel like that wasn't necessary. I would have preferred for maybe the movie to start later on and not set up so much that didn't really pay off. Um, but overall, I gave it a blue 8 out of 10. Love it so much. I just don't feel like the montage scene was worth it. I think you could have done better in terms of setting him up. Because really, it was just for his new vehicle, new camera equipment. But like, if he's doing all of those stories so fast, like, I feel like you could have just made him get paid more from the
Yeah.
city or from the news and just give him that stuff quicker. Like, The score I also gave a blue, so a great 8 out of 10. Great score that is very impactful and key amount of scenes. I think the one that really hits home for me is when he films that car crash and he is pulling the dead guy's body to get the better frame. And he's like sitting there with like the camera above his head and the music starts clicking and you can kind of see like the score is like helping Jake Gyllenhaal's performance because you can kind of see it like click in his head like, this is what I need to be doing. I'm getting the best shot. Like, it's such a weird feeling saying that, but like that scene, I think for me is what drives the score as great. I just don't think it's a score where afterwards I look it up on YouTube. Like Interstellar, that's a score where it's like, okay, like I'm gonna go look this up. You know, I want to listen to this shit. So, the tone I gave. God. What?
No, you just said that and it reminded me. So Hans Zimmer does the score for Interstellar.
Yeah, great guy, best composer of all time.
Absolutely,
Lion King.
Real quick, real quick, we'll get back to what we're talking about here. So I obviously just saw Top Gun tonight. And like one of the big things I was talking to my mom because I took her to see it. We were talking to her about on the way there about Lady Gaga being a part of it. When it fucking said Hans Zimmer's name at the fucking beginning of that movie, I literally out loud in this theater went, Hans Zimmer? And my mom was like, huh? I turned to her and went, Hans Zimmer, like loudly for people to hear. I couldn't believe that he was in. I was so happy. Yeah. I was like, oh, just another great thing for this movie.
When you see Hans Zimmer's name on a film, you know that score is going to be fucking good. It's going to be
You know that the movie itself is going to be like top tier too.
Yeah.
So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. Tone, I gave a green. So 10 out of 10. Amazing. Anxiety driven, very awkward in a lot of scenes, like especially a lot of the conversations. But I like it. I don't know why. I like being in that weird state, which I know you don't. And I would say there is a lot of the things he says like does make you cringe, but it adds to his character and the tone.
God, yes.
There's a lot he says.
Yep, cringe. That's a good word.
And it makes, I think, so a lot of these movies I love for different things. I think for Nightcrawler, I love the performance and then the tone of the movie the most. That's just what I think. When I go to watch this movie, that's what I want the most. And I think the tone's probably the best part of the movie. And I love movies that take place in LA. I don't know why. Nighttime LA movies, I love. Like Collateral, I love. We'll talk about another one here in a bit that takes place in LA. So, yeah. So, visuals, I also gave a 10. So great. Visually stunning. The nighttime LA shots lends itself to the chaotic stories. As well. Scenes displaying character emotion are also a standout. I think scenes like where he's looking in the mirror and he's screaming at himself and breaks it, and scenes where you can see Riz Ahmed's character kind of like internally battling with, should I keep doing this? Well, I need to keep doing this so that I'm not sleeping on the streets. Honestly, the whole final car chase is amazing. It's shot so well, and I mean, I think the heartbreaking moment of when Riz character is dying and like just Jake Gyllenhaal's character is not caring one single bit about what he did to that man. And I think the worst part of that scene, which is like, it just makes the character better, is where his basically best friend is fucking dead and he takes the camera out of his arms and just goes and leaves. And I remember you're like, dude, what the fuck is this? Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So casting, I gave an amazing green as well. Everybody gives an excellent performance. Gyllenhaal gives his best performance, I think, ever. It's going to be hard to top this one ever. It's such an amazing performance. With Riz also being a very emotional character that I think is a good balance to have in the film, because if we were just dealing with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, I feel like it could have been like a Joker situation where it just becomes a bit much. Like with Joker, I have a hard time watching that movie. Like that's a movie I have to watch like maybe once a year because it's just so tolling his character the whole time. But with Riz, it gives a nice balance of normalcy.
To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. Amazing. Fun factor, I gave a blue. So this movie works as both a thriller and a character study. So I think that fits a wide genre. So people who are into films more and they want to study the characters and their actions, or people who just want a nice thriller, this movie has that. I do think there's certain scenes where, there's a scene where he goes into the house with all those people dead after the shooting. Like, I feel like, so far I feel like the movies I've shown you are pretty fucked up, but it's okay. We're getting better, because Nocturnal Animals had a lot of fucked up scenes. Sicario has some pretty fucked up scenes. Nightcrawler has some pretty fucked up scenes. So if you're not into that kind of stuff, and it's not like overly absurd, but it gets pretty rough for certain people. I tend to like that stuff. So, and it's very anxiety driven. So if you are someone who gets affected by movies, especially with anxiety, I don't know if you want to watch this one. I'm going to still recommend it to you, but I feel like you're going to need to like take some medication. Jared, you were feeling this one. I think out of all the movies we watched the most, or out of all the movies we watched, I feel like this was the one that affected you the most in terms of anxiety and how that affected you. So,
without a doubt.
Yeah. So my overall score was a 54 out of 60, giving it a 9 out of 10. So,
God damn.
Sicario was a 52. This was a 54. So, Jared, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Sicario.
Okay.
So this is the first one we watched, so you will have to excuse me. I have to apologize. I didn't really know how to like do this after the first one. I didn't write a lot down. Um, excuse me. So for a few of these, there is literally like a sentence. So again, I apologize. But that being said, for the story for Sicario, I gave it a green 10 on the story, and all I put was it was a well written revenge story,
Okay.
which isn't false. But to build on that, I loved, fucking loved Benicio del Toro's character and his entire arc. There was after it, like at the end of it, with everything that he did, and even the little part at the end with Emily Blunt's character, how badass it was for him just fucking turn around and look at her, like just looking like, "You gonna fucking shoot me, bitch? I fucking dare you." Everything that he did, throughout the entire film with his story specifically, not even the story of the whole film, but his story specifically is enough to make this, amazing. Is enough to make it a 10 out of 10. But yeah, next we have the score. The score I gave a good, just a yellow, yellow, good, yellow, yellow, good. This one, there's not a lot written, but it's for a reason. This one it's not bad. It was not bad, but it was nothing special, and there really wasn't anything to like write home about for this one. It, like the couple things that, like you mentioned with the going into the city, even like the bridge scene, like the lack of score there for
Yeah.
a minute, like when I was in building up. That's about it. Like other than that, it was nothing crazy special. The tone gave a blue. It was great. Suspenseful, anxiety driven action with a touch of thrill. I don't know why I wrote it that way. No, it's like you said before. Most of the films we watched, it was just a lot of anxiety. Now, not to the same degree as Nightcrawler, but still a lot. I remember there were multiple things in this movie where I was like a little tensed up because of what it was like. Um, but it was good. It was good. Great. Blue there. Visuals also gonna be blue, also great. I put great visual effects and lighting until the nighttime scene. But being that the scene is short, I don't really want to take points away, too many points away. That's why I gave it blue.
The scene
Other than
can be
that,
hard to follow. Like they
it
don't.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why I put that. Other than that, I mean, I did think the visuals were good. I didn't think there were like many faults in it. It would have been a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the night scenes the way they were. The casting was green, 10 out of 10, amazing casting. Benicio del Toro fucking kills his role. I already said it. And I even said at one point, right when like towards the beginning of the movie, when his character first was introduced, like you said his name a bunch of times. Like I know the name, but until I looked at him and saw him in the movie, it didn't click like with me who he was. And so the reason that I think that his character was so great in this is because the only thing I can recall seeing him in other than this movie was Guardians of the Galaxy. where he
Yeah, as
was
the
the
collector.
collector.
Yeah.
Now, taking his performance in that movie and comparing it to his performance in this movie, I can't help but feel that he is like one of the better actors I've ever seen. To be able to do what he did in Sicario and give me the feelings he made me feel, to portray the emotion that he portrayed without like portraying a lot of emotion himself, compared to then seeing him as the collector. I mean, I was speechless is how I felt after this movie. Um, I put John Bernthal, even though he was not in the movie very long, fucking amazing. I have to say, I actually, for whatever reason, was talking to my mom about John Bernthal on the way home from Top Gun tonight. He's like amazing. I
Oh
like him
yeah.
in a lot of movies he's in,
Oh yeah.
and he almost fucking kills Emily Blunt's character in this movie. And I thought like it was really cool, short but sweet, and it was awesome. He's like, "You made me do this!" Like, goddamn. Uh, Josh Brolin, obviously, Daddy Josh there, great. Emily Blunt, I kind of feel the same way you feel with her character, but I think that like her role was meant to be the
Sure.
way that you were talking. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it added to the importance of Benicio
She's
del
the real
Toro.
villain in that movie.
Well, I mean, what it is. I don't know. I think having her there, like because she's so out of place, she thought she was a badass. She wasn't. She thought she could handle it. She couldn't. It was there to show how dark it was gonna get
Right.
because she like everyone thought she could handle it. That's why I'm making this a green. Fun factor, also green, also 10, also amazing. I found the movie fun, but I would understand if someone else were to find the thrilling aspect to be too much and take away from the fun side of watch this movie. I would recommend it to somebody else, however. I do think people need to watch this movie and just suck it the fuck up because it is so damn good.
Yep.
Well written
We
revenge
gotta watch the
story.
second one too.
What?
We gotta watch the second one here soon.
It's been like a month since we watched this movie, and you're just now going to tell me there's a second one?
Yeah. There's a second one.
You're a dick.
I know.
Were
We'll
you?
watch it.
Did you know the night we watched this? Did you go? I'm gonna wait till the podcast to tell him this.
No, but like, because I had a really strong feeling you liked this one. And I was like, we have a lot of movies to get through. If I tell them there's a second one, we're just going to watch that one instead, probably. So I'm saving it. We'll watch it. It's not, the second one's really good. It's just, it's not directed by Denis. So it's not the same level. It's still really good, though.
Okay.
We'll watch it. There's going to be a
You're
third one,
trying to-
too.
Oh damn it! Is Del Toro in that one as well?
Oh, yeah.
Then yes, I'm down.
Well, you'll have to see the second one.
You're a dick.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, continue.
Let's stop. Yeah, that's it. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, my score out of 60 for this was a 52, giving it an 8.6 out of 10. I believe yours was also a 52 out of 60
Yes.
on this. Yeah, so we scored exact same. I'm pretty sure we were. I think we had the exact same in everything, but our casting and tone were flip flopped.
Yeah.
I had green story, yellow score, blue tone, blue visual, green casting, green fun factor. Yeah, so that's
Agree.
interesting. I find it interesting that we find this movie equally as good.
Yeah. All right. Top three for me. Here we go. My number 3 is Arrival.
Yep.
So with story, I gave it a green. I think this is one of the best stories of the past 15, 20 years. It's so, like, it's very heartwarming, also heartbreaking. And I think I love how sad this movie gets, especially with the revelation of what her character has to decide and make a choice of, and the fact that she still goes through with it. I'm trying to be vague, so if people haven't seen it, you should see it. But what the aliens reveal to her is honestly like the whole. And I think I told you when we were watching this. Once you get to the final act, I think the final act contends with a lot of movies as one of the best of all times. All the revelations that are revealed and all of the scenes and like her going through her memories, which really just end up being the future, and like her coming to that realization, I just think is phenomenal. I also didn't really care for Amy Adams before I saw a lot of these movies. And I mean, she's in two of my favorite movies of all time. She just kills it. So I think the story, well written, phenomenal. I wouldn't change anything. I think the pacing's amazing. I think everything has a reason to be in there. It's intense, like when the soldiers are trying to blow it up because of all the propaganda stuff going around them, right? The kind of timing, like, you know, they're on a clock. They have to figure out what the aliens are saying quick, right? Because China wants to go to war with them, and all of that, and how it comes together at the end, and it all makes sense. Somehow it makes sense. It's just so good. So good.
It is.
Uh
And that's what's insane about this movie. The fact that this movie could very easily be like like 60 out of 60, but there's still two movies that both of us are like above this.
and like I think we watched this one third to last because we went Arrival, Heat, Blade Runner, and when I told you this, I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna rank this one with the other two, like, because I genuinely love this movie and I watch it all the fucking time, and I've shown this to everyone I can because of how
It's
good
a
it is.
good movie, man.
Yeah.
I really am.
Good. So score, I gave it a green, amazing as well. I think this is Denis' best score besides Blade Runner 2049. It's phenomenal. I personally enjoy this score more than Interstellar. I think it sets up scenes emotionally better than Interstellar can. I think Interstellar uses score perfectly in terms of big action scenes. Like, even though that movie doesn't really have a lot of action, I just feel like for me, I prefer score to be used more emotionally. And Interstellar does use it emotionally, but not as much, and I don't think not as well as this movie, right? It's impactful, heart-wrenching, and I think even the weird, like when it shows the ship for the first time and it's like that weird noise, it just makes you feel weird. And that conveys what the director wants you to feel perfectly. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tone, green as well. It's bleak is how I would describe the tone. There's not a lot of hope going on, especially when they are struggling to figure out what these aliens are wanting. And then as the movie goes on, it slowly loses more and more hope. And then at the end, it twists it, right? It has great messaging about the future and peace with humanity. How I think the biggest thing in this movie that I take away from is how we don't have a single world leader, right? So for us to actually get things done, we do all have to come together and have this peace, which we don't have right now, obviously. So I think that's a really strong message for this movie, and I think it's portrayed amazingly. Visuals, green as well. Jaw-dropping visuals. The scene where like the fog is rolling over the mountains next to the ship.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh. I love the look of the aliens too. Like they're like weird, like octopus. Like I would say they compare to octopus, right, with their legs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love.
And they ink too.
Yeah. I think a big part of this movie is visual storytelling in terms of the memories, especially. There's a lot of scenes. Well, when we talked about it, there's a lot of stuff in those memories that foreshadow what's to come. So there's a few memories where it shows the aliens being drawn by her daughter or the bird being shown. And I think I pointed that out to you and you're like, dude, holy shit. Like what?
Yeah.
And I love how just the emotion from those scenes, nothing's going on. He's just showing you all these memories, and it goes over so well. Casting, perfect. I wouldn't change anything. Green. I don't think it needs to be changed. I feel like you could like change the commander, like you said, but I don't feel like that. I don't need a better performance from him. Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, Daddy Renner, they just do it for me. Yeah. Amy Adams is just so good in this movie. It is unreal. And I feel like they both portray their character the best. I don't think you could have replaced Jeremy Renner with anyone, and it would have added anything. And same thing with Amy Adams. It was amazing. Fun factor I have is a blue. So the movie does have some downtime, which it's a 2 hour and 40 some minute movie, I think. So
Yeah, it's a long one. A lot of these were pretty long.
yeah, so I feel like that is kind of something people wouldn't like. It definitely drags towards the middle a bit. And it's very much it's a sci-fi film. So if you don't like science fiction or sci-fi oh god, movies, you're not going to like this, right? Um I think it's one of the best sci-fi films of all time. So that's why I put it as blue because everyone I've shown this film to, my mom, you, my other friends, like they've liked this movie as well. Maybe not as much as me, but they've really liked this movie. I haven't met someone who hasn't liked this movie yet. So, yeah, so that gives my overall score out of 60 a 58, giving it a 9.6 out of 10. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is your third?
This is my third.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. So something's tied.
You'll see what I did when we get to it. What is your
Oh,
number two?
it's occurred to me you did something really gay. So my number 2 is Heat.
Okay.
Uh, and this was, I gotta be honest with you, surprisingly high.
Was
When
this the
I
most
when
shocking movie, like in terms of like how much you liked it,
That's a good question.
or was it
I
Sicario?
I wanna say it was either this or Arrival
Oh,
was the
okay,
most
yeah,
shocking,
okay,
because Arrival, I kept comparing Arrival to Annihilation, I think is what it's called, with,
yeah,
Natalie Portman. I kept mixing those up. So I was like, "Dude, like, this movie's like, I've seen this. This isn't gonna be good." I'm a dumbass and mix those up for whatever reason. So that was pretty shocking. I would say Heat is a little less because of the cast.
yeah,
Um, like I felt like the people in this movie had to have a good movie, but I guess as for as high as it came on the list, that surprised me.
yep.
Um, yeah, so number 2 for me is Heat. The story, I made that amazing green, but it's a great story. I normally don't love a back and forth between 2 stories in one film, but this movie did it right. I was invested in both storylines, and main characters equally by the end of the movie, like a dead split. That's kinda how I felt. The only reason that, this is short of an amazing story for me, like short of being like my number 1 in this list or my number 1 of like in my favorites, uh, for me is there were some parts that were a little unnecessary in my eyes, but overall everything fit. uh, but overall everything that did fit, it fit well. The only things that kind of felt unnecessary was there were scenes like, well, at the time they were unnecessary, but towards the end of the movie they made more sense. The one scene where where Al Pacino is driving along. Yeah, he's the one that I'm sorry, I'm gonna mix them up. I apologize. Al Pacino, driving along and, like, his daughter is just sitting, or his, like, daughter, I don't know, whatever, it's his
Yeah,
daughter, and, like, I felt that scene was really, like, not needed, like, "Oh, you picked her up, cool." Towards the end of the film, however, really understood,
yeah.
and I'm not gonna say, in case anyone hasn't seen this, I'm not gonna say anything, but that the story's a 10 out of 10 for me there. Score is also amazing, is also green. Almost every second, I'm sorry, every time the score got louder than the rest of the audio, it was great. That being said, when there was like some good music kicking in, the music made me feel like I was playing Grand Theft Auto, which was awesome. The fact that a movie can make me think I'm playing a game that I love, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't know is GTA 5, a lot of like the campaign is based off of Heat. It's very much similar. Michael is basically or Robert De Niro's character, right? So,
And I could see a little bit of Trevor and Val Kilmer, just a little.
yeah.
Uh, the tone, is going to be a 10. That is green. That is amazing. I put action-packed thriller. How a movie can give me a taste of gunfights as well as total curveballs of gut-wrenching sadness and shock unrelated to the action is insane to me. That's exactly that. That's why it's amazing. I love action movies, obviously. We've talked about a lot of action movies on our time here on the podcast, but I also like my fair share of like emotional things. which we've also talked about here on the podcast before. So the fact that this could give me like the beautiful things I love, like the whole thing after the bank where they're in the streets fighting for their lives, gunning and running, awesome. But then also give me this like literally, I think said at one point, like I don't know what to say because of how shocked I was. I love that. That is why the tone is green here. Um, Moving on, the visuals, I'm gonna call that a yellow. I'm gonna call that good. Had the fun classic action movie, blood and explosions and gunfights, which is always a blast. But otherwise, I felt it was nothing special. Um, the reason I say that for this is because by the time we had gotten to this movie, visuals for me had transitioned a few times for how I was trying to describe them. And by the end of it, I was basing visuals on kind of just where the camera, like how it was perceived in the filming, not necessarily what I was seeing. Which, whether it was a change for the good or bad, we'll see. But that is a good otherwise. Casting 10 out of 10, Green, amazing. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, and pretty much all the supporting cast were phenomenal. This movie made me realize how great Robert De Niro is.
Oh yeah.
Because kind of never really like I had never seen a movie with him in it where his hair wasn't gray. So I'd always seen him as like an older gentleman. Like I'd never seen him do anything younger. So I was like, damn, like this is really like he's really fucking good in this movie. Like really good in this movie. Also Val Kilmer. Really, really, really slept on. Like I did not know dick about Val Kilmer before we watched the Batmans and ranked them. Before that, never heard of Val Kilmer. Heard about him because of the Batman. Liked him. You know, Batman was rough, but then seeing him in Heat, and then shortly after we watched these movies, I watched the first Top Gun for the first time, and then I watched the second Top Gun tonight. Now Val Kilmer doesn't play as much in the second one, but I'm not gonna say as much there. Uh, Fucking love Val Kilmer,
Oh yeah.
like a lot. And something that was brought to my attention is his documentary that's on
It's
Netflix.
amazing. It's
I
amazing. It's on
am
Amazon Prime.
Is it on
Amazing.
Amazon, not
Yeah.
Netflix?
Yeah.
Fuck, it
You
better
get a
be
free
free.
trial Prime. It's it's so sad what happens to him. He is such a down to earth guy. It a great documentary. I watched it with my mom and like it was so good.
Dude, both of my parents watched it, and like after we so I don't want to say too much, but after we were leaving Top Gun tonight, my mom was like, "So, talking about something in the movie." She's like, "Did you see the documentary with him?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, there's a thing in the movie that happens. You obviously know." And I thought it was acting. I had no fucking idea that that was real.
Oh yeah.
So like that all being said, more than likely, as soon as we finish recording tonight, I'm gonna be putting that on. I want to watch it. Val Kilmer, like a huge part of the reason is Heat in Top Gun. Like after seeing Heat, Val Kilmer like went up leagues in my opinion.
He did a lot of
Uh,
like funny like 80s 90s comedies that are also
yeah.
like pretty like they're not amazing, but they're pretty funny. So, yeah.
So here's a I've never heard of this movie, and my dad was pissed off at me because I never heard of it. Tombstone.
You, Doc Holliday?
Yeah, man. He said that, and I went, "What the fuck does that
You've
mean?" He
never
said
seen Tombstone?
he quoted the movie, and I went and I shrugged, and he goes, "You're a fucking lost cause. Get away from me." And I'm like, "Okay."
Dude, it's Doc Holliday, one of the like best characters of all time.
Yeah, so that being said, I have to watch the documentary, which is either happening tonight or tomorrow, and then I have to watch Tombstone, which I have to find out what that's on. That whole tangent, by the
Amazon
way, is
probably.
because I hope it is. That whole tangent about Val Kilmer is because he was beautiful in this movie.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, real quick, just going to touch on Val Kilmer's performance in Heat. My favorite part was after the main heist, after he recovered from being shot, when he was getting baited in with his wife or girlfriend, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And she's like totally like you portrayed as turning on him, and she gives like one little flick of the hand, like just one little, and he kind of gets this look like that whole performance in that area that fucking hurt. That's one of those, like, right gut-wrenching sadness, like, "Oh, man, no." amazing. Val Kilmer, beautiful. Gonna have to watch all his shit. 10 out of 10 casting
You know,
because of him and other people in this cast.
what I hate about talking about, like, especially this movie and my number one, is whenever, like, and I've told you this, whenever we start talking about them, I have to watch them because,
The
like,
movie?
yeah, because we start talking about like everything we love, and it's like, well, fuck, like I need to go see this again.
Yeah. The
Uh,
problem is, like, there's only so much time in the day for us to sit and watch a 3-hour movie whenever
I,
it's like we get the hankering because we talk about it. That's the
I know.
only thing that I hate about what you just said, but I agree. Yeah, god damn it.
I'm telling you, and I know you don't like collect 4Ks. The Heat 4K, you
Yeah.
need to buy. You need to buy it.
That is actually something I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll buy it. Since you're saying I have to, I will get it. When Top Gun Maverick comes out on DVD,
Yeah.
either 4K, Steelbook, fuck a Blu-ray, I don't give a shit.
So
Any of those where it has any extended cut or behind the scenes, anything like that, I know you're on top of that shit. Let me know the second you find out. I need to get it
it'll
because there's
have
so much
behind the
I want to
scenes.
know.
The Steelbook already went up for pre-order. I got one. Uh, when it comes back into stock, I will send it to you immediately because
Please.
not only will that sell out, and it's a good money opportunity if you want to sell it, but like
Well,
that's something. That's a Steelbook we're gonna need. So,
yeah.
anyways,
If
continue.
if when that shit comes back in stock, if I don't text you back within 2, maybe 3 minutes,
I'll just order
just
it for you.
order it for me, I'll pay you back.
Yeah.
Because I know you'll be like, "Fucking tippy tap done."
Yep. It
Yeah.
was so funny.
Anyway,
Like,
okay.
real quick, because it
You're
involves
good.
heat. I was at work, and I was in the middle of something, and Chad texted me, and like I look at my watch, and he's like, "The Heat Steelbook just went up for sale on Best Buy." Dude, I've never ordered something so fast in my life. I fucking went to the app. It was already in like one of my recent searches because I was just waiting for it to go up. Click it. I didn't even add it to cart. I hit the buy now option, and $35 never left my account so fast.
That's fucking great. Yeah, I'll have to look for it. Absolutely. But anywho, I'll finish up my number 2 here. So fun factors, the last one we're gonna touch on here for Heat. That was a blue that was great. Uh, it would be hard for me to not recommend this movie to someone. As far as I can tell, it would satisfy most groups. That being said, based on most people I know and talk to, I don't think others would respect this movie the way we do if they were to watch it. And
Yeah.
that's why I gave this a blue instead of a green because I do think I could recommend this to a lot of people. I would love to watch this with like my fiance, with my parents, but I don't think people are going to appreciate it the way we do. I just don't see people going, "Wow, that's amazing." I feel like them going, "Oh, that was pretty. That was cool. That was all right." Like similar to how my father was with Tenet when we watched it. I've never wasted 2 hours of my life before. All right,
Yeah.
Dick. This is why I'm not recommending movies to you anymore.
Right.
Uh, all in all, score out of 60, the 54. That gives it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 even.
Nice.
Yes. That's that. That's Heat. That's my number 2.
Well, to continue the Heat talk, my number two is Heat. Uh, so for story, gave it a green. What I love about this movie with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro's character is they both have what the other wants. Al Pacino's character has someone who loves him, but he neglects her. He's constantly working. It's a big theme. He's always out there. Meanwhile, Robert De Niro is always by himself, but you can tell he wants something and he tries to, get something at the end. Um, I love that transition. Also, Al Pacino, his suit not form fitting at all. He's always rushing. He's not really like on top of things. But De Niro, nice ass fitted suit. Always has timing. Like it's amazing. Story's amazing. The writing, the writing in this film is so underrated. I think this is one of the best written movies, but heist film of all time. Like, I love the phrasing. Now of course now I can't like remember word for word, but you got to be able to drop everything 30 seconds flat when the heat's around the corner.
Yeah.
And that phrasing goes right into what happens at the end immediately.
It was like when the heat's around the corner, you need to be able to drop everything. If you can't pack it up and leave in 30 seconds with it, then like you can't have it. You need
Yeah.
to leave it behind.
Mhm.
And like you said, like at the very end when he just ups and goes, I couldn't believe that he didn't just get in the car and drive. That was
I
what I
know.
would have fucking done. But he literally looked at her like it was 30 seconds looking at her and looking at fucking Al Pacino rather than 5 seconds of getting in the car and leaving. I thought that was dumb, but you're right. It tied in. The movie
Well, I just
theatrics,
think
all
with
that.
that, like, he couldn't have gotten in the car because there was that whole crowd. It was
Yeah, I mean, you're
stay.
right.
It was. I mean, we'll
You're
get to
you're
that. We'll
not
get there. We'll
wrong.
get to that. We'll get to
You're
that.
right. You're right.
Score. I gave it a green. I have nothing wrong with the score. I love all the scenes, especially the action scenes with this upbeat tempo that it had. The scene where Robert De Niro goes into his house and he has no furniture and stuff. The slow, calm, like music that is played, I think really hits home that he is lonely, and the fact that he doesn't have a place to settle down, he's always moving, really goes good. Very emotional too. The tone, like I said with the story, I love the two different tones with the characters. Whenever Al Pacino's on, the tone is completely different than Robert De Niro's. Um, Al Pacino is very much like his scenes are very hectic, right? Like he's always on the go. He's very high stress. And you go to Robert De Niro's, he's always thinking about what's next. He's very methodical in what he's doing. He takes it slow when he needs to, right? Uh, this is where, so here's where I was with ranking, okay? I could have called this movie a perfect movie. I didn't want to. I feel like my number one should be the only perfect movie on my list.
Okay.
I didn't want to put it on Arrival because I do like this movie better than Arrival. So what I did is for visuals, I made it half green, half blue to give it the number 9. That's what I did. Okay, a little bit of a cop out, I know, but I needed to fit it in number 2 because it is my second favorite.
That's a better cop out than what I thought you were gonna do.
What did you think I was gonna do?
I thought, okay, I thought the last one was gonna have like I made it purple because it's a 12 or something
Yeah.
like I made it a different. That's what I thought. That would have been really gay. But I'll take the half colors.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
yeah,
So for visuals,
deal.
great static shots. The final scene being the standout. I think when I say the final scene, and obviously spoiler alert, I'm gonna try to not. I'm gonna show this to someone who I'm talking to pretty soon, so I don't want to spoil it. But
Wait, the podcast?
yeah, well, yeah, and the movie.
Oh, okay.
But the final scene and the score that hits with the two characters, I just love it so much. And the reason why I put blue on this, I don't think there's a bad scene in this film, but when he's talking with when Robert De Niro's character is talking with his girlfriend, and you can clearly tell the background of LA is fake. It's just not composed well.
Mm,
That's where I'm
yeah,
gonna knock it. So
that's fair.
lower grade or lower quality background shots in that scene only. That scene only.
Yeah.
Casting, like you said, I gave it a green. Perfect. De Niro and Pacino give all-time performances that rival any of their movies. I mean, Al Pacino is known for Scarface. I think this movie's just as good in terms of performance as Scarface. Robert De Niro, I know you said you haven't seen him in anything like before he had gray hair, which is such a shame because Goodfellas, Raging Bull being a phenomenal movie, Taxi Driver, like he's been in so many great. I mean, The Godfather Part 2 as well. Like he's been in so many great movies. It's just he's definitely a top 6 or 7 actor. Val Kilmer's also amazing, and Natalie Portman's character, even though she's not in it a lot, I think gives a lot to the
Oh,
emotional drive of the film, especially with what I think what's great about her character is even though she's not in it a lot, at the end with what happens to her character, still hits home like very well. And I don't know if it's just because me and you've been through something like that, but like when he finds her, it's so emotional for his character, and it hits me every time. It's like, oh shit,
yeah,
like Yeah, it's
Like
a
I
lot.
said, the shock, like
Yeah.
literally, like I don't say this lightly, like jaw dropping, like mouth open, can't shut it. That's how I felt. Like I
Yeah.
don't do that often. That's like you like. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's gonna be.
Yep.
I'll go off.
Fun factor, I put it has everything. Emotional depth, action, thriller, crime solving, and suicide. I don't know what else you would want out of a movie. Um, I've shown this to everyone. Like when I was talking to my mom about this movie, like because when I first showed this to her, she didn't see it for 12 years, 15 years, right?
Damn.
And I was like, "We're gonna watch Heat tonight. Fucking love this movie." And she's like, "Heat? That movie's not that great." And then we watched it, and she's like, "Wow, I forgot how good that movie was. Like that movie was
Yep.
fucking
There.
amazing." I think it's. I had to nitpick to find something to lower it. I think it's the perfect heist film. This is Michael Mann's best film easily. It is just so good. Please go see it if you haven't seen it. You are not wasting your time. Uh, yeah, that's my number 2. Jared, we've hit the final movie of your list. What is your number 1?
So my number one.
And I'm so happy that this is number 1.
My number one is Blade Runner 2049. Uh, so start off. The story is amazing. It is green. And I'm sorry, I typed so much that my font is really small here. So if I like turn my head and I'm squinting, it's because I have to read it. Um, so for the story, I put the story is great. It is able to pull you in without needing to know much about the first film, which I like, because I don't remember the first one at all. That being said, a pretty huge plot point does come from the first movie, which isn't a bad thing to me. However, I can't take away a point in good taste because the film does its best to fill in the plot holes of not seeing the first film. I mean, it does a really good job. Like, there's no reason for me to dock a point for the reliance on the first movie, especially as someone who like I haven't seen it in years. Because it reminded me, and what little I do remember that movie, it was like, oh, poke, 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 poke. There you go, you remember it. So score green 10, amazing. I am surprised to say the overall score is phenomenal. I have heard some of the music before, and I didn't mind it. It was stuff you've shown me, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But hearing it from the source is 100 times better. Second most goosebumps from a score in a movie to date. Uh, and
You remember which
also
scene that was?
there were multiple, yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant
Uh,
like one specific scene like gave you
well,
the
there is one specific scene that you showed me and had me listen to,
yeah.
but seeing it with the context of the entire movie absolutely was like goosebumps galore. Like the
Yeah.
first time it's like, "Oh, look, I got a couple." Then it's like they're, Goose Mountains. They're like
Yeah.
fucking that was so fucking dumb.
All right.
I can't believe I said that. Yeah, but no, there were a couple. I'll say there was one where it was beach or water. I don't know. That was one. The one where he gets like shot down in his car, and there was another one before that, or no, after that, between the two scenes. I think it's when he's in like meeting Harrison Ford. I think.
Yeah. Oh, are you talking about the Elvis Presley fight?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's such a cool scene. Such a cool
because
scene.
like the fact that it's like that, it's like if it was playing at full volume the whole time, like it hurt your eardrums loud, but it cuts to literally nothing and it
Yeah.
just echoes. Oh, yes. There are that in a there's a more from that area, but yeah, fucking good. The tone. This is the longest thing I wrote. So hold on a second. This is green, amazing 10. The tone. There's an undoubtedly and overbearing dark tone to this movie, with sides of underlying sad and quiet misery. However, to counteract that, we get sprinkles of hope and I say, dare I say, romance to attempt to soften the sharp, cold blade of torment we witness. Usually, Usually this is quickly brushed away. While I may not love the tone, it is guaranteed to fulfill its purpose of making you feel the way the main character does.
Yeah.
Uh, gonna move on. I don't want to ruin what I just said because I felt like that was pretty good. Visuals, amazing. Green, 10 out of 10 for the visuals. There were many great scenes with wonderful shots, wonderful lighting, and wonderful framing, etc. That made me feel awestruck at times. This is the first movie on this list that wait, why did I put that? This is the first movie on this list to get me to notice little things and to appreciate focusing on shots which which is a huge step up compared to all other movies on this list. I'm sorry. We
You're
watched it
just saying
today.
that it's shot better than most of the
Yeah,
or all the movies
that's
on this list.
so to yeah, I could recap it without the weird thing I put. But yes, the first movie, yeah, pretty much. Casting, Green, 10 out of 10, amazing. Harrison Ford proves he can act in this movie. That's pretty much the way I'm gonna put it. Because I say that, and that sounds bad. I feel like Star Wars and Indiana Jones are kind of gimmies to this guy. Not like saying that he's like a bad actor and got saved by good movies. He's a great actor, and those were great movies, but they're so popular and like he's
Well, it's just not like
super popular.
asking a lot, right? Like,
Exactly. He's not like he's super popular for those, but like in this, you see more emotion. Not maybe not more, but you see emotion that you wouldn't think he would still provide after
yeah.
being acting this long.
So I think with this
Um,
movie, what's so like, and what a lot of people don't know is like, so Harrison Ford hates Star Wars. He's let that be known. He thought Han
yeah,
Solo should die in the original trilogy. Uh, he has publicly said like this is either his most favorite or second favorite character he did, and he's been waiting to do this sequel forever. So you can actually see him put the effort. Like The Force Awakens, he's not putting a lot of effort in that movie. He doesn't want to be in that movie. But in this movie, you can tell like he wanted to do this.
yeah, that's exactly. Even though he has that grumpy old man vibe that he kind of has in
Yeah.
Force Awakens, it's like a I care like to be the grumpy old man.
Yep.
Um, Ryan Gosling, well, not my favorite actor ever, has a fucking unreal performance.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there. That being said, before this movie, really didn't give a shit about Ryan Gosling. Just gonna be honest, he's a cute guy. Didn't give a fuck about him. I saw a trailer for a movie tonight before Top Gun started.
Chris
Sorry, I keep
Evans.
talking about yes, but I sorry I keep talking about Top Gun. By the way, I keep bringing it up. It just happened.
Yeah.
Uh, I saw Ryan Gosling, and then I saw Anna de Armas, and I was just like, I want to see this. I was
Yeah.
sitting there, literally sitting there, like bouncing in my seat. And then
Yeah.
Chris Evans came on. I was like, oh, let's go.
Netflix movie
And
too.
I know. I can't fucking wait for it. There was someone else in it too that I was like, dude, add that in. I think it was, oh, I can't remember. Whatever, I'm not gonna sit and dwell too long. But yeah, I saw that and I was like poking my mom, like, hey, like or look at this up or look at that or something. Uh yeah, so that says a lot. Ryan Gosling being literally a nobody to me to I see a trailer with him in it and I fucking have to see the movie. Like it's a necessity now. That's how much weight this movie has had on me. And then let's see, fucking front. Jared Leto is creepy as fuck
He
as
is
always. Jared Leto is a strange man.
Morbid time.
Uh,
Sorry.
Anna de Armas was an extremely heavy hitting role, which surprised me. Like it
She is
absolutely.
phenomenal actress. She is
Oh yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Like
Like,
before this, you were like, dude, Anna de Armas is really hot. So I'm like, I followed her on Instagram. I'm like, oh yeah, she's kind of cute. Like it was whatever. Like she's all right. And I saw like she's in a couple movies I never really heard of. And then I saw her in this, and I'm like, you're a liar. She's not hot. She's fucking amazing, is what she
yeah.
is. Literally, like, I was obsessed with her, Ryan Gosling, and this movie for days following watching this. And what killed me the most is I just wanted to talk to you about this movie, and we didn't talk like at all after this. You literally inserted this into my life, and then we just were like a couple days of nothing. And I'm sitting here on YouTube just rewatching scenes with them in it. Like I just you're an ass. That's all I'll say. Um After that, wonderful supporting cast. I mean, like genuinely good supporting cast. The person who plays Love is her
Yeah.
name.
Mhm.
Great. I mean, really great.
Yeah.
The chick who plays who are like basically meat puppets for Anna de Armas at one point. She's great. A lot of the people we see in that scene where after he gets like rescued,
Yeah.
really good. Um, I can't remember the name of the gentleman who like does the orphanage, but he's Morgan in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Mhm.
Love that guy. So really good supporting cast. At the end of the day, Green, amazing. Um, I could not in good conscience give this movie 60 out of 60. So the next thing, the fun factor is Blue. It is great. The reason I did that is because there's one movie that I think is better, and I'm a little sad we weren't able to rank it for this because I needed to know if it lived up to it for real or just in my head. So we're gonna find out when we do my rankings because we're throwing Interstellar in there. That being said, fun factor, Blue, great. I would absolutely recommend this movie to someone. I think this movie has massive potential for rewatchability. However, I can see many people not liking it or wanting to rewatch this movie because of how depressing the movie is and how you know what happens the second time through. Thus, meaning someone would watch it again knowing how sad it will be. Uh, m- how, and sorry, meaning would watch it again knowing how sad it will make more than likely make them. That's kind of how I was trying to word it. Not super high rewatchability for that reason. Also, kind of building into one of the other movies I talked about earlier, saying like I don't think people would appreciate it. I really don't. Like I couldn't believe you've talked about this movie, and I've seen what you've talked about in the video you posted forever ago. Like I know how you feel about this movie, and I know how good you think it is. I mean, I going into it, I had high expectations. Like, really, I'm not Damien, when I say high expectations, I mean if this movie wasn't perfect, I was gonna give you shit.
Yeah.
So the fact that I came out of it and the movie exceeded those expectations by so much that I can't even like put it into words, it kind of pisses me off. Like in a nice way, it pisses me off because it I can't believe it. I can't believe I went into this movie thinking if this isn't literally perfect, you're an idiot, and then I came out of it like, "Fuck, he's not an idiot." Like that's how I'm gonna put that. But yeah, I don't think that I could give this a 10 solely because of I know other people won't appreciate this movie, and that could be proven unfortunately by the fact that stuff we've talked about. Like it didn't do amazing in the box office. It still like isn't really well known, like other than for the people who are famous in it. It's unfortunate, but that's why it has to be blue. That's why I can't make it green. And I will be honest with you, maybe after another like two or three times watching this movie, I might have to change that. I might have to make it green. But right now, as we currently stand after one time through and a bunch of YouTube videos of me rewatching some really emotional scenes, I have to leave it as blue. And then I'm gonna have to hand it off to you to talk about it some more because Lord knows you're gonna just fucking take what I talked about and throw it away because you're gonna, so many perfect ways to word everything. Let's hear it.
Yes, my number one's Blade Runner 2049. I mean, I've talked about this movie so much. Obviously, to you, Jared, I've for years have been saying we need to watch it, and this was just perfect timing. Uh, I mean, I have a video. It's one of my, I think, first videos that I've posted on this channel, like talking about it. I'm remaking that video, so you could hold off. That's still my favorite video I've ever made. I don't really word a lot of things correctly in that, and I was still new to like this whole like talking on YouTube thing, but or talking recording. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
give me time. I'm making a new version. It will be better. It'll be more in depth. Just give me time. So I mean, I'm just gonna say I gave everything a green. I'll go through the reasons. I gave everything a green. For the story, it's a perfect movie to me. I think it's thrilling. It's emotional in a lot of unexpected ways. Like Anna de Armas' character is literally a fucking hologram, and you fall in love with her. Like, and the relationship between Ryan Gosling's character and her is phenomenal. And Ryan Gosling doesn't show emotion in this film. He's a very stoic character, and he conveys it so well. Another big thing that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this with this movie is you don't need to watch the first one to like this one. It's its own movie. It stands on its own ground, which is what makes it the best sequel of all time for me. Outstanding writing with so much attention to detail. If you've watched the first one, it adds to the experience, but if you don't, the world is just, it's just so good. So good. And also what I like about this movie is like, even though Jared Leto's in it and he's like, he was marketed, like he's not the main bad guy. It's all love. And it's kind of unexpected because it's Jared fucking Leto, right? Like,
Well, he's behind the scenes main bad guy.
yeah, but like he's not in this film at all. Like he's in it for
That's
3 scenes.
What he is, he's great in it. Like what he does, like the being blind,
yeah,
he is cool in it.
Jared Leto's
what little he is
a good actor. He just needs to stop talking to younger women that are under 18. Like, dude just needs to chill out. For score, I mean, it's Hans Zimmer. It's Daddy Zimmer fucking doing this movie. It is his best score of all time, and yes, it's better than Lion King. It's my favorite score of all time. It's adds so much emotional depth. I think the scenes, like my favorite scene in this movie is when it's the final confrontation between Love and Kay, and they kind of crash into like the ocean. And the score is so loud and just it mixes so perfectly with Ryan Gosling's door fucking opening so badass and him getting out of the car and then the door shuts and it's so good, so good. The tone, yeah, the world is brutal, it's cold. Like you said, they do sprinkle in hope, especially with the replicants and like there's, we're able to reproduce and that's kind of like giving them hope to not be slaves anymore. It's so good, so good. The world is crafted phenomenally, the tone perfect. The visuals, and this says a lot, this is still the best 4K you can buy. Like, there is not a 4K that I own that is better than that movie, and it came out in 2016. Like, we're talking some years have been by, right? Like,
yeah,
it's still the best looking movie I've ever seen. The end fight scene is iconic and is so detailed. I also love the final scene with Ryan Gosling's character in terms of him, trying not to spoil this, but him sitting down, all the snow, the score comes in, which is just, it makes me cry every time. I'm not going to lie. This movie makes me bawl like a little bitch every single time. Don't care. It's like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm just fucking dead after. It can't be topped in visuals. It's just chef's kiss. It's just amazing. The casting, Gosling, I think this is the best performance of the last 20 years. I really do. He's stoic, but he's able to convey so much emotion just in the face. And then when he does show emotion, like when he's at the site where the lady can look at memories to tell if they're real, it's like, holy shit, like he can do that. And Ryan Gosling is underrated as well. He's been in a lot of movies, and he does play stoic characters a lot, but like, there's a movie called Drive that's really good. He was in First Man, which was really good. The Nice Guys, which is fucking hilarious, which we need to watch because that movie is so funny. He's really good in that. Obviously, he was known for his rom-coms. Was in The Notebook, like probably the biggest romantic comedy ever, right? I don't even know if you call that a rom-com. It's just a romantic movie, I guess.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't.
You haven't seen that movie? Okay.
Nope.
Anna de Armas, I think, is the best supporting character of the last 10, 15 years. She just fucking nails it. She is so good in this film. Obviously, this was like her breakout role into the Americas, because she was known in Europe and stuff, but in like this was her big step. And now obviously
Oh yeah.
she's, she was in
She's huge.
Knives Out, and she was in the
That's
last
right.
she was in the last 007 movie, and man, she looks so good, and she does a phenomenal job in that film. I was in the theater like, what the fuck? Like, she's not in it for long. And like her character in that movie is very interesting. Like really interesting. It's like, well, she's gone now. Like, what the fuck? Uh so she's amazing. Her acting is phenomenal. Also one thing with visuals, and you didn't really care for this scene as much, but the scene, it's not like, I mean, I guess it's technically a sex scene, but like where Anna de Armas's character and the other girl's character kind of like link
Yeah.
up. It's so weird, but it's so beautiful. And fun factor, it's a sci-fi masterpiece. It has complex emotions with complex characters. It has a mystery to it that you're trying to solve. It has everything. I think anyone could look into this movie and find something they love. A final point to this. This is also a movie that I think. So I don't know how to really explain this. Okay, a lot of movies, right? The main character is always the hero. Not in this film. He's not the most important character of this film. And throughout the whole movie, they set it up as this. And at the end, they take it away. But what makes his character so good and so important is not because he's supposed to be that special person. It's just because of his actions and what he does throughout the film. And I think that's what makes him the perfect character for this film. So good. Uh, 60 out of 60, 10 out of 10. My favorite film of all time. I can't say enough about this film. Jared, like you were saying, I watch this film pretty frequently, but like there'll be some times where I go a few months, and then God apparently just likes to throw me a YouTube recommendation, and it'll be like some random video about like why Blade Runner is this, or character deep dive of Ryan Gosling's character, and I'm like, well, fuck, I gotta watch it now. So,
Yep.
and then after we watched it, you sent me a video that you watched, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it got him. It got him. I'm so happy. It fucking got him in there. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
highly recommend. Love this. Love this movie so much. I've talked about it so much on the podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. After seeing the movies that I've seen with with you for the podcast, your top favorites, I could go in and change my list.
Yeah.
And at least two of the movies we've watched could insert themselves onto that my list.
Yeah.
And so I know it's not part of it, but
And
before
after.
watching these movies, my list and then an after.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna rank them. We're gonna rank the ones I already have on there, and then after I'm gonna be like, by the way, if I could change it, here's what I put in. This, unfortunately, it would be on there.
Yeah. Would Heat be on there
That's
still?
huh?
Would Heat make it to that list?
I'm not sure.
Okay. We'll have to see.
That's why I said
So,
at least two, because it's this one and one of the other ones would have to.
yeah.
Between Heat, Rivals, Sicario, I mean,
Yeah.
all very good.
Uh, that's my list. If you've seen these movies, let us know your rankings down below. If you haven't seen any of them, please watch them. Highly recommend them. Especially like last four me and Jared ranked. Like Sicario, I think people should watch. Arrival, Heat, Blade Runner. Watch them. And Nightcrawler, you don't have to. But
You know, I was thinking about this when we first started talking about these. I think the next time we do a ranking, we need to, if it's something that's like, oh, we're gonna rank our favorite so and so, we should say what those are gonna be. Like, we need to plan it out to where when we're gonna announce that, we have the list done.
yeah,
So we can say, here's the list. Watch these. So if you haven't seen them and we talk about it, we're not spoiling it for you to go watch after.
right.
Like, so we say next week, we're gonna do my ranking. Right now, I would say, here's the movies on my list. Go watch them, and then when we're reviewing it, you can be like, oh, I would put it here. Here's how I would rank it. do it with us.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd probably be a good idea, just because interactive.
Oh yeah.
That way you guys can be involved. That
Yep.
being said, real quick, I am gonna give my list for anyone who would be interested in watching along for the next whenever we do them. My 7 movies, and not in any particular order, that we are gonna watch, is gonna be Interstellar. Obviously, we have to watch that for both of ours. Ready Player One, Fury, Forrest Gump, Sherlock Holmes, the first one, The Hateful Eight, and Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
That movie's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, those 3, or I'm sorry, those 7. So watch them.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna go. That's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna watch those and rank them. Um, it is super sad. I just want to say, since we did these, like we watched your 6 movies here, and like we made these lists, I haven't changed them. I have kept it exactly the same. I have watched so many fucking movies since we made these lists that I've like really, really liked and could easily replace. Like
Yeah.
it is insane how much I've been getting into movies since we started this,
Yep.
and I hate it. What you've done to me.
I know. Uh, also, like final point. Uh, doing this list has made me realize that Christopher Nolan's not my favorite director anymore. He has
Really?
been put to number 2. It's
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve. Blade Runner, Arrival, Sicario, all in my top 10. Nolan only has one, and it's Interstellar. And I'm going to
Yeah.
be honest with you, I don't know if it cracks my top 3.
Damn.
So we'll see when we watch it. Because once I watch it, I might be like, well, fuck, it's 2. But like, um,
Well, that's the thing. What I said about the fun factor for Blade Runner, like I said that because I fully believe Interstellar should be 60 out of 60. That'll be my number one.
yeah,
That would have been where it would have ranked. But like I said, I need to watch it and directly after the movie, go and write everything and like we did for all these, because that's when I truly, excuse me, got out everything I felt. Like, it was fresh. I knew I felt it. I knew I had to put it in. I had to put it the way I like, exactly right then and there. I need to do that with Interstellar because I hope I'm right and it's gonna be green everywhere, but I'm concerned that it won't be. Like, little doubts here and there. I'm like, "Oh, shit. Is it gonna be, like, comparing it to Blade Runner, or comparing it to Arrivals, comparing it to Heat? Like, is it gonna be all the way up there?"
yeah.
We have to. Like, we fucking have to. That might be the next one we have to watch.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it might just have to be.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for watching. I know this has been a long one. We're at an hour and like 50 minutes. So
God.
please watch these movies. Please let us know what you think down below. We're averaging like 400 viewers a week. Like not on, like that's including everything together.
Yeah, all platforms.
So thank you guys for listening
Yeah.
/ watching. Please share, subscribe. And we will see you next week. This has been the Conversation Colons podcast.
See you later, guys.